A familiar villain will re-emerge in Rick and Morty Season 8 and present a challenge to Rick C-137 that Rick Prime never did. Rick and Morty is an animated television show that follows the misadventures of scientist Rick Sanchez and his grandson Morty Smith, along with Rick's daughter Beth, his son-in-law Jerry, and his granddaughter, Summer. Rick and Morty Season 8 is underway, with a confirmed release window for 2025. The show was originally released in 2013 by show creators Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon and has enjoyed widespread popularity. The last season delivered a long-anticipated conflict between Rick C-137 and Evil Morty, as well as Rick and Rick Prime, and posed burning questions for Rick and Morty Season 8. The show has been renewed through at least Season 10, leaving plenty of time to dig into the backstories teased in Season 7. Evil Morty presents a challenge in Rick and Morty Season 8 that Rick Prime never did. Evil Morty has intimate knowledge of Rick C-137. Rick and Morty Season 8's villain will present new challenges to Rick C-137 that Rick Prime never did because of his intimate knowledge of Rick. As the scientist's grandson, any Morty in the central finite curve knows a thing or two about Rick, but Evil Morty is smart enough to leverage his intel of Rick and wise enough to do so. Rick will need to watch his back in Rick and Morty Season 8, regardless of what Evil Morty is plotting. After Rick Prime dies halfway through Rick and Morty Season 7, the series loses its longest-standing villain, leaving a hole in Rick's universe that is likely to be filled with more conflict. With showrunner Scott Marder confirming Evil Morty's return in Season 8 and with grand designs, Rick C-137 may be left in a vulnerable state should Evil Morty choose to target him. Rick's connection to his family is his Achilles heel, and coming up against a Morty could be one of Rick's greatest challenges yet. Why stopping Evil Morty will require self-reflection from Rick C-137. Rick C-137 will have to face Evil Morty as well as his past. Rick and Morty meeting alternate versions of themselves. Working closely with Rick in Rick and Morty Season 7, Episode 5, Evil Morty has already required Rick to self-reflect. When Rick loses Diane to Rick Prime's attack, it prompts Rick's life purpose to be to kill Rick Prime. Evil Morty makes Rick confront the final stage of his vengeance when Rick disrupts his force field while hacking the central finite curve to find Rick Prime, and Evil Morty temporarily joins forces with Rick and Morty as they team up to find Rick Prime. Evil Morty forces Rick to reconcile with his past by optimizing Rick's design so that Rick can successfully trace Rick Prime. Evil Morty knows that Rick will feel empty when he gets what he thinks he wants, however, he helps him do it anyway. For the most part, he remains partial to the situation, but downloading the information that allowed Rick Prime to wipe out a person across all realities could make Evil Morty the most challenging villain yet, even though Rick and Morty have faced some powerful villains.